Tony and I grew up together. We were cousins. We used to play together, argue, fight, etc. But he was, you wouldn't believe it now, but he was quite a sickly child, weak, sickly child, who then went on to become quite an athletic, fit, healthy old man.
Thanks, cousin.
Right. They were all my friends originally.
But
Then following the ad, others came, didn't they?
No, they came. It was the first. We put the ad in first,
Yeah.
and then they came.
Yeah, but remember some of my friends came before that.
No, they didn't.
Did they not?
No.
All right. Okay.
Honestly.
We won't argue on camera.
I think we should.
No, we shouldn't. Go on then. Your version.
My version.
Yeah, go on.
It all started one day when I'd done the odd run here and there, and I was running along a beach road and I bumped into Anne, and she said, "What you doing that for, you idiot?" And not that she speaks Irish, but we've both got Irish mums, and she told me off, and I thought, what on earth's that about? Anyway, a couple of months later, we literally ran into each other, because lo and behold, there she was in a running gear, huffing and puffing, and she'd sort of seen the light, as it were. Yeah.
And I was 45, overweight, had a young child, wanted to get fit and healthy again, have some time to myself. And I'd always wanted to run, but felt I wasn't able to run. And I asked Tony to help me run, and that's exactly what he did. And we started running together. And then my friends wanted to also start running. And for a while, it was my friends and Tony, and we used to just run. And then we decided it'd be good to start a running group for people who hadn't run before. So initially it was people that didn't run, to try and get them to do a 5k, a 10k, and that's really how it started. So originally, all the people that first joined us in that January, because we put an ad in the paper, wasn't it? From nothing to 10k, we sort of suggested, didn't we?
10k. There was nothing around for people who wanted to go running. There was an athletics club, but it was very much an athletics club, which scares people off. I went there's a book from W.H. Smith about HTML for beginners, so created a website, chorltonrunners.com, and then we put an advert in the paper with reference to the website and the phone number, and that was on the 12th of January 2005. We said we'd started this running group for people who were interested, from beginners to if you had a bit of an experience, and on that day I think we had 12 people turned up.
Mainly my friends, weren't they?
Don't know, there was Bob, there was John.
Oh yeah.
There was Noel Gallagher.
Yeah.
No, there's about 50-50, I think. Anne's neighbours, a lot of Anne's neighbours.
Yeah, I brought all my friends along, yeah. And then some stayed and some left and some joined, didn't they? And gradually it got bigger and bigger.
Yeah. I think word of mouth was quite... Because, it's probably elder people than younger people that come now.
Yeah, it was more middle-aged people, I suppose, at that time. Yeah. And then who really couldn't run. So then Tony had a programme of run and walk. So what was it, 4 minutes?
No, it's 1 minute walk, 30 seconds jog, 1 minute walk, 30 seconds jog, and just building up from there. So there was more jogging and less walking.
Yeah.
And then it just developed and developed. And what was quite instantly viewable was the fact that everybody was so different. So people didn't stay together. For some people, running for 2 minutes was very easy. For others, it was a bit of a struggle. So it soon came to light, really, that everybody was so different in their abilities. So we carried on like that for a year, and we did the Manchester 10K. There's quite a few of us, and that we had a big party afterwards, and all got drunk.
We did.
And
that was such an amazing achievement for a lot of us, because we would never think we could run, and then to do, not just run, but then to do a 10k and do okay in the 10k was just, well, for me it was just an amazing achievement, because it was something I never thought I could do, and for a lot of my sort of female friends. I did the London Marathon in 2007, so after that first 10k, which would be 2005, Winslow 2006. I then went on and decided I was going to do a marathon in 2007, and did the London Marathon in 2007.
You got 4 hours
440.
440.
And that was just,
That was
again,
an amazing achievement.
an amazing achievement, yeah.
I think as we started to get help then, there was a chap called Colin came along.
Oh, that's right,
Colin
yeah.
Benno Thornton,
Yeah.
who then wrote a programme and
Yeah.
took people out and spent a year really intensely helping people.
Yeah.
Again, we did a 10K. And then after the 10K, people think, oh, you know, it wasn't so hard, so maybe do the half marathon.
Yeah.
And up from there. And then, about 4 years in, Sue Goddard said, she wanted to do a marathon, and she'd signed herself into the Chester Marathon. None of us had ever contemplated doing a marathon. And then there's about a dozen of us decided to do the marathon. That was hard work, but we were just so amazed that we could do a marathon.
But I think the Sunday morning runs were always about running and chatting, whereas I think the Tuesdays, and when you get into all your time groups, it's much more about the running. And we always, if you can't talk, then you're running too fast. That used to be a thing for Sundays. And the point is, I would always chat and always make an attempt to chat to people. And some people would love it and chat back. And some of the younger, faster blokes would sort of run as far away from me as possible so they didn't have to talk to me, really. And that's probably still the case today. Because some people like to run and chat and some people now don't. And I'd say that's probably quite the difference. And we now got the 8 Mile group, which is often full of younger men who just want to run, don't they? Yes. Yeah. And then you've got the groups at the back that want to run and chat and find out what happened since last week,
I think there's still the community element very much, but there's also the proper athletic element as well now.
Yeah. And it became a bit of a joke that some people, when I talked to them, would come back, but some people, when I talked to them, wouldn't come back. And it was always a bit of a joke that, just
scare them off.
Yeah, I'd scare them off. Yeah. But then lots of people denied that and said that actually I did encourage them to come back. But I remember there was a couple of instances where people fell, and I remember there was one girl that came for the first time, and I was chatting away to her and talking to her, and she didn't come back. Do you remember she fell over?
Val.
And she fell
Her
into
name
the
was Val,
barbed wire
yeah.
and everything. Yeah. We weren't very organised in that way, were we?
Well, we just didn't expect it, did we?
No.
It's the worst thing that's happened, and that was...
Yeah. No, I think it's about people getting time on their own to come out and do their own thing, particularly if you've got young children. That I know for women to come down on their own, meet with other women, moan about the husbands, moan about the boyfriends, moan about the kids. That's also a big part of it, I think. And then just have a bit of a laugh, bit of a joke, good chat. It's a bit of a therapy, I think, for some of us. I think perhaps more so for the women. Tony's always very good at that, though, I have to say. He's always very good at chatting to everybody, not just the women. I think you always make an effort with everybody, don't you?
I like to think so.
Yeah, you do. Constantly. And then he does all those silly games now and the warm-up lap around, which you either love or you hate.
Just breaks it up a bit, I think.
Yeah.
A couple got engaged recently who met at Chorlton Runners, which is good news, really.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting for the first baby to come along from.
Yeah. And that is a change, because from the early Sunday mornings it was often, as I say, middle-aged, married or separated or divorced people maybe that came along. And now there is much more younger people, I think, looking to meet someone, with a similar shared interest.
It for some people,
Yeah, definitely. Because even now on Sunday mornings, I speak to sort of younger single women, and they're talking about who's there, who's not there, who's available, who's not available. And that's quite an interesting little gossip update every Sunday, isn't it?
You know more about that side of things.
Yeah.
The club now has a massive range, a huge scope, from what we call the ecos, the very beginners. There's still like the jog, walk, run people, to your 6-minute milers, guys who are coming 10th in marathons and faster than that. So that's the scope is enormous. The club has matured really, and it's grown from something tiny and just quite exploded. But we like to think it's kept this ethos of being fairly friendly and amiable with people. And one of the good things is those guys who are quite what you would term, I suppose, elite, who are really, really fast and do win races. will rub shoulders with those guys who are just starting out and maybe are just, you know, a bit intimidated and scared. And what I quite like is that sometimes people come along and they go, you know, I was really terrified, and now I've sat and just come along. Now I've come along and jogged and everything. It's not what on earth was I scared about, what was I worried about. I think that's quite nice to see.
And of course, then there's the cake.
There's the cake, yes. The cake started with, I think it might have been Ruth Abbott one day brought some flapjacks along on a Sunday in an early spring, and the following week somebody else brought some cake. The following week somebody else brought some cake, and then that continued and continued and continued, and a coffee van started coming into the park, and then we had a little deal with him where we'd have a kitty, and it was always very informal, and it was just, if you got a few bob, just give it into the kitty. There was no register taken. It was just all went on the fact of, well, if we all contribute a little bit, we can all get enjoyment, because if you go running, sometimes you don't bring money, but you know you could just grab a coffee. So that was quite successful for a few years, and so people would bring cake and we'd have a coffee. And in the summer, it was absolutely marvellous, because you've got the lovely scenery there and everything. And so the cake then has developed into the point where people... In fact, on one Christmas, we had a bit of a do at the Sedge Lynn in Chorlton, and somebody who was supposed to bring a cake on Sunday, but because the snow had been so bad, they couldn't, so they snuck it into the pub on the evening of our do, which was very nice. Yeah, cake and drinking, I think we're quite well known for, and running. We have been called a drinking club with a running problem. How true that is, Anne will tell you.
Yeah, everyone likes a drink, don't they? A drink and run and chat. I think Chorlton Runners is a place where anybody who wants to run can come, and if they want to, can become a runner. And certainly that was the case for me, from never having run in my life, to actually now being able to run marathons, half marathons, 10K. And lots of people have done that journey, and in the process got fit, got healthier, and got slimmer as well.
There's a very good story. I think it was Catherine Elliott who told me that she'd watched the group from the car park on several occasions before she had the bottle to get out of a car and come along, and she said within 2 or 3 minutes all her fears and anxieties have gone. It's just like a normal gang of people just, you know, going out for a bit of a laugh and a run, and she then just didn't feel intimidated. This is our 10th year now. This month, January 2015, is our 10th year.
And an awful lot has happened in those 10 years. And it's where we go for the next 10 years, 50 years.
I think at some stage we will have involvement. I know it might sound ridiculous, but we may have a smattering of involvement in some Olympic champion along the way.
Do you think
because
so?
We've got somebody like Louis McCormack, who's cracking parkrun times, and he's like wee young lad.
But I think the important thing is that it's a running group that caters for everybody.
That's essential.
From non-runners who want to just start running through to elite runners, and that's what it should be about.
I think as long as it maintains its friendliness and doesn't become elite, then that will continue to grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, and it's a club that anyone can join at any time. Yeah.
It's something that your grandchildren will probably come along and join.
That's right.
And your great-grandchildren. And your great-great-great-grandchildren.
Yeah, well, we've got daughters, sons and daughters coming along now, haven't we?
Yeah.
My daughter runs. Sue Goddard's daughters ran, didn't they? So there's children of
there'll be generations to come.
Yeah.
What have we started?
Well, let's hope it continues and doesn't get too big.
It's pretty big now.
I know.
No, it's more than your friends on that first day. There's Ruth there.
Yeah, they're mostly my friends. And then you put the ad in. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But it was...
have I got it wrong then? Did we do that before?
No, because you did. Because everyone said, isn't Tony... Because remember, we hadn't seen each other for years. We didn't even know we lived around the corner from each other.